types of slope. We have, draw it on here. We just went over it, but I want you to be able to have this to remember. So if you're going up, that is a positive slope. Here, I'll pass the one over. Oh, here's another one. Okay, you also have down, which is, what's this? What's down? Negative. Negative. Okay, well then you also have this. What's this one called? This is 0. Oh, I bet it got put on his desk and not passed back. Okay, and then you have one more, and it's straight up and down, and it is undefined. Now, we need to talk about what undefined and 0, the difference between them. So, undefined is when you have 0 under the line. Somebody told me earlier, under the line, undefined. And I'd never heard that before. I thought it was cool. Under the line, when 0's on bottom, it's undefined. But when 0 is on top, it's 0. So 0's on top, that's equal to 0. Under the line, undefined. Now, Miss Morris also showed me something pretty cool.
I didn't make it up.
You didn't make it up?
I did not make it up.
Okay. Draw a line. Try to draw this exactly the way I am. Okay?
Y'all seen it before, some of you.
So there's a line. What kind of slope would this look like?
Positive.
What kind of slope would this look like? Hold on, I'm not done.
Squeaky. Oh my God.
What kind of slope is that?
Undefined.
What kind of slope is this? Do you see it? It's a face. Eyebrow, eyebrow, eye, nose, mouth, dimples, and 6th period told me to add hair. So we added an actual face with hair.
That's like Slope's best friend. Or what was your name? Distance.
Oh, it is.
Oh my God.
It's like distance is best friend.
Oh, wait, no, it never is.
Okay, yeah, this is the.
Video was Slope guy?
This
This is Slope dude.
No, the video was slope dude.
Well, then this is Slope.
Yeah, this is distance is x.
Slope down.
Get it? Y'all remember? Okay, so the whole point is that slope is the steepness of a line. It tells us the steepness. Tristan, come on, bud. Now, there's 2 ways to find slope. Brian, you with me? There's either the slope formula, which is kind of very light, so please write it in. It's y2 minus y1. So when you have 2 points, that's when you need to use the formula. However, remember the saying rise over run?
Yeah.
Yes. When you have a graph, it's easier to use rise over run. So we're going to practice both ways. Okay, so we have number 1. When you're finding the slope and you're using rise over run, go from circle, so here's circle, to circle. Don't count arrow to arrow. So the first thing you need to do is count the rise. How much is it going up from this point to this point? But from these 2.
Okay.
But don't count the lines. You have to count the boxes. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 boxes from the point up to the other point. So your rise, how much you're going up, is 8. Now your run is how far you're going side to side. So how many boxes are from point to point? 1. Good. So when you simplify this, what's your slope? 8. Good job. Okay, number 2. Here's point A, here's point B. Now, here's the thing about this slope. What kind of slope is it? It's negative. So you have to put a negative in front of your slope. So your rise, technically you're going down. So count the rise or the downfall from A to B. How many boxes are there? From A to B. You see them? There's only 3. And then now you have to count the run. So you have to go from A sideways to B. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 side to side. So your slope of this line is negative 3/7. Will you try 3 and 4 for me? Thank you. Pablo, we're not done. Yes. You just do rise over run. We aren't actually using the formulas. Yes, y is on top, but we haven't used that formula yet. Okay, try 3 and 4, please. Uh-huh. Which one? I can't hear you. Reduce it. Okay, so what was the rise for number 3?
5.
I got 5, and the run is 5. But what kind of slope? It's negative. Now, can I reduce this to what? Negative 1. Number 4. What kind of slope? 0. Do any of y'all watch like those hospital shows like Grey's Anatomy or anything that has like health, medical stuff? Okay, so the reason I ask is when you're like in the hospital on those shows and it's like so dramatic because they're TV shows. I do. It's so dramatic, and you know when like the like people when they pass away in the show and their heart like stops and it's like bing and it's a flat line. How many times is their heart beating per minute?
0.
So what kind of slope is this?
0.
Don't tell me I don't try to incorporate this into real life. You're going to be watching that Grey's Anatomy and somebody's going to die. You're going to be like, oh, 0 slope. Okay, here we go. Now you have to use, listen, your formula. Why do we have to use a formula? Because you don't have a graph. Okay? So, if I were you, at first, I would label these points so you always know what goes where. Once you get the hang of it, you can stop. But at first, your X is always first. So you have X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So now we have to plug it in. So Y2 goes first. So you have negative 12. That's your Y2, so I'm just plugging it in. Negative 12. Now your formula calls for a subtraction sign. So bring down the sign. And then Y1 is negative 3. Yeah, you can. Now do your X's. X2, which is negative 4. Your formula calls for a negative sign, so bring down your negative. And then X1, which is 8. So now, I would just plug this straight into your calculator. Negative 12 minus negative 3.
Over.
Negative 4 minus 8. Whoops. Negative 4 minus 8. So you get negative 9 divided by negative 12. Now, I do not like that. Why do I not like this? It's not simplified. What goes into 9 and 12?
3.
3.
So negative 3 and then
Okay, well, can I just change that to 3/4? Two negatives make a positive. Good. Try 6 and 7. If you need to, label these points. X1, Y1. X2, Y2. Then, what do? Plug it in, plug it in. You don't want to be saying 2 today, Tay? Or are you laughing at something else? -1 minus -5. -3 minus -3. Well, isn't 2 negatives make a positive, right? Okay, well, -3 plus 3 is what? So, I don't even have to do the top. If zero is under the line, then this slope is undefined. Under the line, undefined. Under the line, undefined. It's 0. Can I reduce this? To what? Alright, we're going to skip 8 and 9 just for time's sake. So, I hate to tell you this, but all of that front page was just to set you up for what we really have to do. This whole thing isn't just about slope. Kind of, but we have to take it a step further. So what we're going to start doing is graphing parallel and perpendicular lines. So we're going to use slopes to determine whether they are parallel or perpendicular. So this first fill in the blank, parallel lines. Parallel lines. Do you know what the symbol for parallel is? It's just this. Parallel. This is the symbol for parallel. Parallel lines have the same slope. So, do you remember slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. Familiar? So, if you have y equals 3x plus 4 and y equals 3x minus 1, those are two equations of lines. They're two separate lines. But remember, m and y equals mx plus b, m is the slope. So what's the slope in this equation? Huh? Slope 3. What's the slope over here? So if they have the same slope, these lines will be parallel. If they are perpendicular, lines, which has the symbol of the upside down T. Perpendicular lines, and I like to use the word opposite reciprocal. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals of each other. Let me go over what this term means in case you have forgotten. So let's just use slope now. I'm not going to draw a whole line or equation of a line. If one slope is equal to 1/4, the reciprocal is when you flip the fraction. So what's the reciprocal of 1/4? 4/1. And now opposite means the opposite sign. So if it was positive, now it's going to be negative. So these two slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other, which means if we have two lines with these slopes, they will have 4 right angles. They will be perpendicular. Let me show you one more example of opposite reciprocals. M is equal to -3. What is the reciprocal only of 3? 1/3. Because isn't this technically, isn't 3 over 1 the same thing as 3? So technically, this is 3 divided by 1. So when I flip it, it becomes 1/3. It was negative, so now it's positive. Yeah. Okay, so we have these 3, and then we'll be done. Okay, these 3 problems, and we're done. Here's the problem. You have to determine whether they are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And you have 2 sets of lines. You have line AB and line CD. So what you have to do is find the slope of AB and the slope of CD and look at their slopes. So you have to do the slope formula twice for each one. So AB would be 4 minus 5, because you have x1, y1, x2, y2. So 4 minus 5 divided by 4 minus 1, which is 4 minus 5 is -1, and 4 minus 1 is 3. So AB has a slope of -1/3. Okay, now let's find the slope of CD. -5 minus -10, because this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So -5 minus -10 divided by -6 minus 9. Keep it, switch, switch. So -5 plus 10 is just 5. Keep it, switch, switch. Did I write that down right? No, that was just one negative, wasn't it? I wrote one too many. That's just, is that right? So this and this. So now it's -15. But can I reduce this? What goes into 5 and 15? 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 goes into 15 3 times, but it was a negative, so it stays negative. So we have -1/3 and -1/3. What kind of lines do these lines make? I mean, what kind of lines? Parallel, because they are the same. Finish 2 and 3, then you can pack up. Not until you're done. I'm going to do 2 up here. If you need to watch, you can. But I want you to try it by yourself. What do y'all think about these slopes? What are they? Did you get 1/4 and -4? They are perpendicular. Because when you flip 1/4, it just becomes 4 over 1, which that 1 can be invisible, right? And then it was positive and it flipped to negative. So this is perpendicular. Good job. Finish number 3.